being made is that some persons who previously worked with Cocobod have been sent home, not as sacked, not as suspended, but simply sent home to do nothing while they receive salary. What information have you gathered?
Well, thank you. I lost you at a point, but I just hope I got what you said right. Yes, it's a statement of fact that there are a number of directors at Cocobod who are now rendered almost useless, but they are drawing salary. And it's through no fault of those directors that they are not contributing anything significant to the board, but then they are being paid. The question is, why are these directors being asked to stay at home or put at a place where they offer next to zero value to the board, but then they are paid? I do not think that it is the most prudent thing to do, to ask these directors who have worked with the organization for many years, acquired knowledge and experience, exposure, and they can help provide a lot of insight to make the organization function better. And then they are just being asked to stay home just because there's a new government in place. And I think that it's a cost, first of all, to the board, and then also it also affects how efficient and effective the board can operate as a state institution.
Under what circumstance were they asked to go home? Was there a formal communication or was a verbal communication to them?
Well, it was a formal communication.
So what with their letters? What would the letters say?
Okay,
for instance?
You have been asked, reassigned, or we ask you to take leave, and when we are ready or we have something else for you to do, we ask you to come back. So the point is, these are people who have acquired knowledge and work in the organization, and then day in, day out, they offer something to the board. And then it's not like one particular director. Your director of finance, you ask him to go stay home for over a year. When you are ready, you call him to come back. Your director legal, you send him somewhere. Go and hire a new person to come as your director legal. To the extent that even medical doctors, the director health and deputy director health, this is a consultant surgeon, a consultant anesthetist, have been asked to say, stay home. And then later on they tell them, okay, when we are ready, we'll give you an office to come and sit at the main board. To do what? Medical doctors. And today, they go and they bring in somebody to come and do locum as anesthetist at Coco Clinic, draw money, whereas a consultant has been asked to stay home. He has committed no crime, he has done nothing wrong, just because there's a new government and they want a new people to be directors. These are not persons who probably you might say that they are political appointees, so for which reason you have an issue with. For example, Coco Clinic, Dr. Usu and Dr. Fojo, who have been asked to stay home and doing nothing, getting paid every month. These are persons who were made directors in 2016 under Dr. Puni. So you cannot even say that they were appointed or they were elevated to the position of directors under the MPP administration, for which reason you have an issue with them. They've been asked to stay home. And then you bring in Dr. Tamaklo. Rather, those who say that the name Tamaklo should send a certain signal so you should know where he's coming from. I do not intend getting in there because I do not have the full fact. Whether the fact that he's somebody's cousin doesn't mean anything. But the point is, why do you ask these very senior doctors who have served as director and deputy director since 2016 just to go and sit at home, pay them at the end of every month, and then just bring in somebody to come and head? And it cuts across almost all departments. The question is, what benefit does it bring to the state? It's not to just satisfy a political agenda. And I do not think that if you do the cost-benefit analysis, it is in the interest of the country to spend such amount of money on very resourceful individuals who just stay home and get paid.
But going on leave is not wrong. Have you checked if they are not having accumulated leave, for which reason they have been asked to go home?
I know for a fact that the former chief executive communicated to all staff, including directors, that the idea of saying that, well, I have accumulated leave, it is not going to happen. You take your leave, and if you don't take your leave, you forfeit it. So it is not, I cannot understand how you can say that all these directors have accumulated leave. At least for some of them, I know for a fact that they only had their leave for this year. They've gone on leave, they've come back, and what they do is that they go to the office and they say, "Oh, okay, you wait, we'll find a place for you. We don't have an office for you, so you go home. We'll call you." They return 2-3 days later. They tell them, "Okay, we don't have a space for you, so you go." And that is what they are doing. So those who they have even gotten a place for them to go and stay, it is not a case that there's something significant they are doing. So, for example, there's a gentleman who was the manager at the office of the chief executive. He was moved to research, was a deputy director of research. He's been shipped to Ministry of Finance. He was Dr. Puni's PA. He was a manager at the office of the chief executive when Dr. Puni was the chief executive. He was taken to research department. Now he's been shipped to Ministry of Finance, and then he sits there, does absolutely nothing. And this is a very resourceful person, someone who has been in the industry. For example, Cocoa Marketing Company. President Akumia was manager at the office of the chief executive under he said in the same capacity as Attorney Fiifi. He was later moved to the research department as a manager, climbed up to the level of a director. He was then moved to Cocoa Marketing Company as a managing director. Because of the change in government, now all that he does is that he drives to the office, go walk around, and then he leaves. He's back home. And he does that all the time. What value is this bringing to the organization? And have we quantified the cost? And it's not just 1, 2, 3. Almost every director at that office has been asked to go stay home.
About how many people in terms of numbers?
I'll have to count, but only there are more than 10. And even though,
and these are not people even though you have mentioned some of them, talked about when they were appointed, are you sure the majority of them were not appointed by your former boss, which would possibly make them politically exposed?
So most of them, in fact, maybe just one was appointed under the previous administration. Almost every single one of them worked at Cocobod way before the new administration came. In fact, if you compare, they've all worked between 20 to 29 years at the board. Some of them have worked for 29 years at the board. So they had absolutely nothing to do with political appointment or anything. They all entered as officers.
You've been with Cocobod for close to 8 years. What's your thinking? Why do you think these people have been sent home now?
I honestly don't think that it's a good thing to do. But then from what I gather, we think that we need people we are more who share political ideology with, or people we are very comfortable with. But even with that, I think it is problematic. It is problematic because these are not persons who you can call them political persons. These are persons who have worked in the organization, that they have worked with the NDC administration, they've worked with the MPP administration. So to just take over and ship almost every single one of them out. I'll give you an example. Cocoa Marketing Company, the managing director was asked to take his leave, and later they call him. He's been going back and forth, no office for him to occupy. His deputy, when the new administration took over, appointed him the managing director. When they appointed him the managing director, few weeks later, I know the chief executive, Randy Abbey, was not even aware that the president has then appointed somebody to go to a subsidiary of Cocobod as a chief executive. Then the person who they elevated from deputy to managing director now has no job to do. So you just go when we find something for you, we'll call you. The question is, how does this benefit Ghana? Why must we pay for this? I even say that just because there's a new administration, every single person who has worked in an institution must leave. Is that how the country must run?
Let's talk about your colleague when you were a journalist, Randy Abbey. He's the one in charge there now. You suggested that in that particular instance he did not know. But the buck stops with him. Do you think he's in on what is happening? And if it is, what would you say to him if you were listening to us tonight?
Well, I think that Dr. Randy Abbey must be in charge and ensure that the office run and operates well, because it is not in his interest as the chief executive to have all these persons shipped away doing nothing and then being paid. Whereas you bring in new people. Recently, when there was conversation about producer price of cocoa, the chief executive, Dr. Abiy, was talking about the fact that he didn't even know there were some rule over contract. And what I said to myself was that then it shows the result of asking all these directors to leave is what he was showing. Because if they were, for example, the managing director of Cocoa Marketing Company and his two deputies are not there, even the person who was in charge of the trading room, I understand, has also been moved. These are the persons who have been doing trading for the board for several years with institutional memory. So they will be in a position to say that, well, chief executive, we think that this is what the situation is, or we think you should do this, or this is what must be done. All such persons have been moved out. And if you do so, how would you, as a chief executive who has just come in, how would you be in a position to benefit from the memory, the institutional memory, the experience they have acquired over the years to guide you in decision making? Then you'll be taking decisions based on just what you think that is in the interest of the political party, but not in the interest of the state. And I think that Dr. Abiy, I've been told that in some of the decisions, for example, asking somebody from outside to come and head Cocoa Marketing Company, he felt that it was the wrong thing to do. He fought it, but it didn't happen. But there are several others who have been moved around, and he's the chief executive, and the buck stops with him. So, for example, you bring in retirees, people who have worked in the board, retired, you bring them in, and then you rather ask people who are not 60 to go and sit at home, you pay them, and then rather bring other people to come and work in. What sort of arrangement is it? I think that Dr. Abiy may have to plead with his employers that they should allow him to take charge. If they have allowed him, and if they have, then the kind of advice he is getting, maybe you should have a rethink of those advice.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Fiifi.
My pleasure.
That's Fiifi. But, I've lost him. I was going to ask him. Do I have you?
Yes, I'm here.
What are you doing in retirement? Will you come back to media?
Well, you can offer me a contract. We can consider that.
Oh, your former boss, Kennedy Japan, is still around. He wants to be president. Maybe you should go back and help with Boiling Point and,
I said, you asked me what I'm doing, and I said, I'm available.
I'm giving you a counter offer.
I never checked. The last time I checked, you were not a spokesperson for Kennedy Japan or his business manager. So you are not in a position to make that suggestion.
Nice to speak to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Pleasure.
That's Fiifi Boafo. He headed previously Cocobod.